You know, Maggie, lots of Marvel news.
Yeah.
One of their most recent announcements is called Marvel Spotlight. It's going to be things that take place in the MCU without necessarily building on the greater MCU. They actually had a lot to say about it, so let me tell you about it. Marvel released the first trailer for Echo, the new series. Marvel Studios is venturing into more mature territory with Echo, which unveiled a moody, violent trailer on Friday. The series will be Marvel Studios' first to get the TVMA rating, and its first to debut simultaneously on both Hulu and Disney Plus on January 10th, 2024. In some ways, it looks like a successor to Daredevil. Both Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio appear in the show, which stars Alaqua Cox, reprising her Hawkeye role as Maya Lopez / Echo. It is sort of a new direction for the brand, especially for Disney Plus. When Echo hits Disney Plus on January 10th, it will premiere under the new Marvel Spotlight banner, complete with a new intro logo. Essentially, the new subcategory of Marvel is a branding for standalone fare versus series of movies that connect to the greater Marvel Cinematic Universe. Subcategory gets its name from an anthology comic book series first introduced in 1971, which featured new characters that readers didn't have to fully commit to over several issues. Marvel Studios' head of streaming at the screening said Marvel Spotlight gives us the platform to bring more grounded, character-driven stories to the screen, and in the case of Echo, focusing on a street-level stakes over larger MCU continuity. Just like comics fans didn't need to read Avengers or Fantastic Four to enjoy a Ghost Rider Spotlight comic, he added, our audience doesn't need to have seen other Marvel series to understand what's happening in Maya's story. I do like the idea, a new branding, so that it's like, hey, here's something that you can watch if you've not watched the rest of the MCU.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to be caught up on everything else. You can kind of just pay attention to just this one thing, and it's totally fine. I think that's a really smart move, especially if they're going to try and keep the ongoing continuity going for like the past 10 years or whatever. Like being able to say, hey, you can just watch this, and that's okay. I think it also sets an expectation for the audience of like, hey, don't expect any major things in this. Like, this is for just this character. This isn't going to change like the fate of the MCU.
Yeah.
Like, I think if this had been a part of Moon Knight, it probably would have recolored, retextualized that whole series, and probably would have been like better received, you know? And of course, it's still within the continuity. So, like, they can kind of casually touch upon, like, you know, the blip or whatever. Yeah. But, again, it's not going to, this isn't something you have to watch before you can go watch the Marvels or whatever. I think that's smart. I think that's a really smart thing. What do you think about
it? There's just so much been laid on to Marvel tonight.
I know, right? Luckily, this is the last one, luckily.
Okay. I really like that idea. That way you don't feel like you have to watch it all. Yeah. Because I remember when Multiverse of Madness, I can't remember. One of my coworkers told me, she said, yeah, we're going to go watch it. And I said, oh, have you watched WandaVision? And she said, no. I was like, oh, she said, but my husband had. I said, well, did you watch Doctor Strange to at least know the basis of the character? She said, yeah, I really like that. I said, okay, WandaVision TV show is nothing like that, though.
Right. right.
And I said, and this is going to be a little bit darker. Yeah. Come back to work the next week, and I said, so what did you think about the movie? We really loved it, like me and Matt, you know. Yeah. And she said, I didn't like it. I didn't understand what was going on at the time. So like,
yeah, that's
and like, and then when Endgame came, this is what blew my mind right here. When Endgame was coming out, like it was like either the week before it came out or 2 weeks, somebody approached me. They said, hey, I heard that you keep up with all the Marvel stuff. I said, yeah, for the most part. I mean, I'm not an expert, but I know at least the gist of what's going on. Yeah. And he's like, okay, can you get me caught up to where I could understand Endgame? And I'm like,
oh, Jesus.
And I looked at him, I said, you've already shot yourself in the foot, buddy.
Had they watched anything?
I can't even remember what they told me the last thing they watched. And it wasn't even anywhere near
Phase 3.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I looked, I was like, I said, well, I'll just tell you some key players.
Wait. Just to make sure you're saying Endgame, not Infinity War.
No.
Wow. Yeah, that's, I mean, you at least need Infinity War.
Well, I asked him that. I said, have you watched Infinity War? No. I was like, well, you're going to have to watch that.
I mean, I feel like at the very least you need that. Like, I would suggest, like, if you hadn't seen anything, I would say at the bare minimum, you should probably watch Civil War and Infinity War, and probably Guardians.
I think
maybe even Guardians 2.
I think I mentioned those, and I was like, you really need to watch Infinity War though.
I mean, honestly, you probably need to watch one of the Ant-Mans.
Yeah.
But I mean, I feel like you could get by without it. Like you're just not gonna get all of the. I mean, because in Endgame, like it really leans heavily on the quantum stuff, and like you don't get that unless you watch Ant-Man.
No. And Eric says, "Is it true that in order to watch Echo on Disney Plus, you're going to have to input a code, like a parental guide type of thing, to unlock it?"
Yes.
Yes.
Well, so you have to set your Disney Plus
they said it in
to
the
include
trailer.
Yeah. To include the ability to watch TVMA. They actually already have that on there when they dropped Daredevil and the Netflix shows on there. And I think Deadpool, a couple of those are on there. And Logan. When they put those on there, they added the feature to be able to lock that off. So you can kind of pick how high the ratings can go for any profile that you have.
Yeah.
Obviously, kids' profiles are automatically locked down to not have anything.
Not on HBO Max, though.
Yeah. But you do have to opt into it. So... by default, I think everybody's is set to like PG-13 or like TV PG-14 or whatever. And so like you have to opt in to be able to get the more mature stuff. So yeah, but once you do it, it's set. Like you don't have to do it like before everything.
Yeah. This is in reference to me having that conversation with that person. Random person, Marvel. Maggie, I know of it. Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
I know of it.
I know of it.
That's great. God, I can't wait for that anime. It's so close. So yeah, I think that it's definitely a smart call having the Marvel Spotlight. I think that's going to make things a lot easier to follow. And it's almost like, okay, this is, everybody stick with me here. Okay, this is going to be a bit niche, but hopefully niche. But hopefully everybody kind of follows. So you know how we have like Nintendo Directs? And like they also have like Nintendo indie developer directs, and they also have like Pokemon directs, right? So when you watch a Pokemon direct, not to expect something Mario related. When you watch an indie developer direct, that this isn't going to have anything Nintendo related.
Yeah.
Or I mean, at least not like the major stuff. Like they're not going to announce like Breath of the Wild 3 or something, But like a Nintendo direct is like anything can happen, right?
Oh yeah. So
I feel like that's what this kind of does, is that it kind of essentially allows you to set your expectations properly, and I don't think that's a bad thing, because Marvel can't. I think that's one of the big things that people have been frustrated with, is that they expect everything to do everything. Like somebody was telling me, I think they were saying that they was expecting like Captain Marvel to show up. I was like, no, like, don't get me wrong, could that happen? Sure.
Yeah.
But, like, it's not going to, Or, like, people were expecting Spider-Man and Hawkeye. And it's like, no. Like, I mean, I get it, and, hey, that'd be great. But, like, we need to start figuring out what we're going to do, okay? I think being able to have that banner on there to be like, hey, this is, this is going to be great. And if you like Marvel, you should watch this. And this is going to be character-driven, and it's going to be probably a better show than most of the stuff that does tie into the greater MCU. But this isn't something that is required reading before watching Avengers King Dynasty.
Oh, definitely.
I feel like I kind of wish we lived in a world where you didn't have to spell it out for people, that people could just kind of use their own intelligence and realize the show Echo probably won't have King the Conqueror in it, or introduce Galactus. Like, probably not going to happen in the show about Echo. I'm probably not going to have anything to do with, like, the greater cosmic threats. Yeah. But, hey,
I did say wherever I was watching the trailer last night, I said, why didn't they just call this Fisk? Because, I mean, that's what we're going to mostly
Fisk
see.
and Echo.
Yeah.
I mean, I doubt... I mean, we are going to see a lot of him, but I think Echo's definitely going to be the...
Oh, yeah. But, like, it just showed him beating the crap out of that person.
Well, do you realize why he was doing that?
Because he was making fun of her.
Yeah.
He's making fun of her, and she was signing once. She wanted an ice cream. I think it was, like, frozen something. Yeah. And that guy made fun of her. Yep. And he's like, go on. And I was like, oh, crap. Fisk just watch all that go down.
And he beats the hell out of him. And honestly, I like it. I kind of like it.
Yeah.
So apparently, this is something that's not in this, but Basically, they've kind of gone on record. Obviously, they're still working on the Daredevil series, so they can't like be too much on record. But essentially, they are the same characters, but they're not the same characters. So this is not Daredevil. The series is not canon, though a lot of the backstory may be the same.
Well, yeah.
But like Karen may not have existed.
Yeah.
Like she may have, but she also may not have.
Yeah.
And so like, the city and the hand and all that stuff.
God, man, I'm just having like flashbacks of us watching that. Such a dark show. God.
It's really dark.
Like we're watching Angel right now, and like Angel's
like nowhere near
as dark.
I mean, it does start to get dark. Not as dark as Daredevil, but it does start to get a little darker.
Good God, just them like fighting at the bottom of that building and it collapses.
Oh yeah. And wasn't that the Defenders?
No.
Where the building lands on top of him?
Yeah, isn't that the beginning of the Defenders?
I think it's the end of it. Because like Elektra comes back, spoilers for
Defenders.
And like she's like a zombie version of herself or whatever.
Yeah. She's like resurrected.
Yeah.
And
that's like what brings the whole building down.
Yes.
Yeah. And Sigourney Weaver was in it for like 4 episodes and then died.
Anyways.
Very excited. So you don't have to watch any of that to enjoy Echo.
No.
Even though it's Charlie Cox and what's his name? Vincent D'Onofrio.
Sugar water.
So yeah, as you can see, lots of Marvel stuff going on.
Yeah.
There's actually even more than that. We have plenty of other stories that we were talking about, and I want to tell you specifically about this one.
Yeah.
Because it's even crazier than what we just discussed.
What?
Yeah.
There's no way.
I know, right? So just click right here and check out the rest of the story. Please.